This next don't do is actually something that can get you banned from Poshmark, and so you definitely want to avoid doing it. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi, my name is Nicole and I'm a part-time reseller on Poshmark. Today I want to talk about the do's and don'ts of Poshmark, as I know we are all trying to figure out what we should do best on Poshmark to be able to maximize our sales. And actually today Poshmark posted a do's and don'ts on like the news feed, and I took a look at it and I thought they had a lot of great tips. So I wanted to cover those in today's video. If this is something that interests you, please feel free to subscribe for more. I do reselling content like this every single week. And so yeah, let's get started with the video and let's go into the do's and don'ts of what to do on Poshmark. All right, so the first thing that you should do is definitely follow other accounts, definitely share other accounts, definitely just interact with other people. Poshmark really likes when you interact with other accounts, and they really like when you build a sense of community. And so definitely follow others, definitely share others, and really do that with like the new Poshers, kind of make them feel welcome to the app. This really helps with the algorithm, which I mentioned in my algorithm video, and this really helps just in general if you are, active. And if you share other people's listings, they'll probably share yours back, and that actually puts your listings in more people's feeds, which will then potentially lead to more sales. So definitely follow, share, and interact with others on the app. But what not to do is definitely don't spam others on Poshmark. So if they are a new account, or if they're just an account in general, don't spam them with like self-promoting your page. So don't leave comments saying, come check out my closet, or like don't spam them with comments on their listings. Nothing more when I hate a person will comment on my listing and like kind of promote their own closet, or they'll just kind of write like spammy comments that have nothing to do with the listing. And I'm like, I'm trying to like sell this listing here and you're just leaving like comments on it. So it's like, just don't do that. Don't leave spammy comments. Leave comments that actually are good and pertain to the item. And you can also leave comments on their closet in general and just be like, hey, I think we have, very similar closets. That's pretty cool, or something like that. But don't comment on their listings. Don't spam them. Just kind of, send them a welcome message. Don't self-promote. Don't like promote your own closet. No one likes that, and the algorithm doesn't like it either. The next thing that you should totally do in your listings is make sure the cover photo looks really good. You want to leave a very good first impression on the buyer, because again, this is the first thing that they see in their feed. When they're just scrolling through, they only see the one picture that's on the cover photo. And if that picture is not good, they're not going to want to click on it and actually see if they want to buy it. So make sure the cover photo, you style the item properly. Make sure you have a nice clean white background. I use Photo Room to clear out the background, and it really makes the pictures look very professional. But even if you don't have that and you don't want to do that, you can literally just take them against a white wall or like a white backdrop. And you want to make sure the item looks nice and styled. You want to make sure it's not wrinkly or anything. Put some love into the listing. And you want to make sure that like the listing itself has like a good title and good description. You just really want to make the listing stand out, because again, there's probably so many other people that are selling the same thing that you are. So you want to make your listing stand out, and especially that cover photo, because again, that's the first impression that they have. And we all know first impressions make a big difference. So something that goes off of your listing is just make sure that you do not hide or try to minimize any flaws in the item. I actually just posted a video yesterday or a couple days ago about how it's okay to post items that are flawed or that have flaws in them, but you need to be very honest and upfront with those flaws. You do not want to hide them. You do not want to like make it look like there are no flaws when there really are, or you don't want to put in the description like no flaws when then there's other flaws on the item. So you need to be very honest with this, because the buyer is going to buy it, and if it's not exactly how it's listed, or if it has a flaw, or if it has a rip or stain, the buyer can open a case on you and say like, oh, this is not as described. And if that is the case and they can prove that, then they will get their money back, and they might win the case. They might have to send the item back to you. It just depends, but you don't want to lie about it. So if there is a flaw, it's okay to list. And a lot of the times I do list things that are flawed and I still sell them, but you just need to be careful and you need to disclose that. So if there's a flaw, make sure you take any pictures of it, make sure you describe it in the listing, make sure you're very honest and upfront, and if need be, discount the item accordingly to accommodate that flaw. So something that I didn't really want to do at first when I started on Poshmark is to kind of have a variety of things in your closet. And at first I thought like, oh, people like if you have like the same kind of thing, or they like if you have a theme, or you know, something like that, or like the same size of things. But as I've grown on Poshmark and kind of established myself more, I've actually found that having a variety of items from all different categories actually helps you a lot more, because there are so many people that are looking for different things on Poshmark, and if you have kind of everything, there's a lot more for people to pick from. And if you have a variety of sizes, that's even better, because not everyone's the same size. And something I've noticed too is sometimes you'll get someone that wants to bundle and make like a whole outfit. And so if you have like jewelry, you have clothing, you have accessories, you have shoes, a handbag, they can make a whole outfit from that. And also just adding like the other categories that are on Poshmark that aren't as common. So like home items, electronics, pets, anything like that, like list it, because you never know, it will probably sell, and it helps you have a better variety of items. So if you have things that, you know, just don't fit you, or they're gifts from exes or friends or whatever, you're just trying to get rid of things, list it, and you never know, it might actually end up selling. So this next don't do is actually something that can get you banned from Poshmark, and so you definitely want to avoid doing it. This is something that I never found okay, but yet there's still so many people that do it, and it bothers me all the time. It's just selling fakes or designer inspired items. So not only is it like against the law in general, but it can definitely get you banned from the platform, and it's really hard to prove otherwise. So just stay away from selling fakes, stay away from selling like designer inspired items. There are other platforms that are probably better for that, but you really got to be careful, because one, it's just very disrespectful to the companies that put out these designer products, but also two, if you're selling a fake, you're probably going to rip off the buyer, and they're not going to know that it's a fake until they do their own research. So it's not okay, and you definitely shouldn't do it. So make sure anything that you're listing that is expensive or that you think is a designer item, just make sure you double check and verify that it's real. This also just goes for brands in general that like aren't designer brands. I know there's so many common brands out there, Lululemon is one of them, where there's so many fakes, and like the fakes are looking better and better, but like there are people that are listing fakes without even realizing that they're fakes. And so you just have to be really careful, because a lot of people now are getting smart enough to know. So when they buy the item, they verify, and if it's not real, then they can open a case on you. And this does not look good for you on Poshmark, and if you do it too many times or you do it once, it might be the end of you on Poshmark. So just avoid doing this at all costs. This next thing to do is really important, and it is to respond to comments in a timely and quick manner. So yeah, you may not be able to respond exactly when the buyer messaged you, but you definitely want to be alert and respond within a couple of hours, or at least in the same day. If somebody asks you for measurements, or they ask you for like a question on the listing, like how does it fit, what is the color of it, does it fit true to size, like all these different questions, you definitely want to answer those, and you definitely want to be attentive to the buyers, because if they leave a comment on your listing, they're definitely interested and they're definitely thinking about the item. So the quicker you get back to them, the quicker they can decide if they want to buy the item. And it really helps to respond, because if someone comes across the listing and the seller hasn't answered in, you know, several weeks with a listing, then what, like no one wants to buy from that person, because they're probably not going to ship it fast. And I actually remember a few years ago when I was on Poshmark, when I was mainly actually buying from different sellers, I came across a listing that I was interested in, and I was actually going to get it as a gift for a friend. And it seemed like a perfect item, but the seller clearly wasn't responding to people, and you could see all the comments from like months and months back of like people saying, is this available, or do you have, you know, measurements, or like all these different things. And so I'm like, well, why would I buy from them if they're not responding? Because clearly that means they're not attentive on the app. Clearly that means they don't necessarily care about their items. And so for me, I was just like, well, I'm not going to buy from this person. I'm just going to try and buy from somebody else that has a similar item. So you want to make sure that you are answering your comments quickly, and that you're being respectful, and you're, you know, answering every question that the buyer has. Now this one might be a hard pill to swallow. Don't ask the buyer if they're interested just because they like the item. I know for me, I'm always so tempted to just send out an offer immediately when they like the item, because I think like that's like the best rule, is like within 3 minutes of them liking it, you want to send an offer out. But you don't have to comment to their bundle and ask if they're interested, because one, this gets really annoying, and two, it's just not necessary. If they're interested, they will either buy it, or they will send you an offer, or they will accept your offer. But commenting, are you interested in the item, or like, you know, whatever, that just doesn't help anything. You can create a bundle for them. You can tell them that, like, if they add multiple items, they'll get a discount, or whatever, however you have your closet working. But definitely do not ask them if they're interested, and definitely don't assume just because they like the item that they are interested. A lot of the times, buyers like items or sellers like items for a lot of different reasons, or people that are just scrolling through Poshmark will like it for random reasons. Sometimes people are looking up comps. Sometimes people are favoriting things because they want something similar to that. Or sometimes they just like it because they want to, and there's no actual reason behind it. So don't necessarily assume that somebody wants to buy it just because they like it. This one goes out for if you are buying on Poshmark. Definitely feel safe when you are making a purchase. Poshmark has a really good policy in place. And like I mentioned before with the fakes and the replicas, if you find that your item is not what was listed, even if it has a flaw and you weren't disclosed that ahead of time, you can definitely report that to Poshmark, and they do protect their customers a lot. And actually, I sometimes find that they protect their customers more than they protect their sellers, but they definitely will protect you if you're like lied to in the listing, or if you're misled. So definitely feel safe if you're making a purchase, and especially if you're making a purchase for something expensive, because they will definitely work with you and they want their customers to be happy. So they're not going to try and rip you off and then just leave you stranded. They're going to want you to have a good experience because you're the customer. You're what's going to keep coming back to them. However, do not, at any circumstances, take any transaction from Poshmark off the platform. This probably goes for any platform actually, but just do not handle any other experience checking out, buying items from anybody off platform. So this is just very dangerous, and it most of the time will lead to a scam, if it's not already a scam to begin with. But it's just not good, and you should not do it. A lot of the times you'll get comments from people saying like, oh, email me more details, I am very interested in this item. 9 times out of 10, probably if not 10 times out of 10, that is a scam. And when I was new to the app, I always got comments like this too, because they try to find new people because they know they're less likely to know these things. And I never listened to it. Honestly, I always just blocked those people right away because I figured that's what it was. But I see people on like Instagram or on Poshmark or in like all the Poshmark groups that I'm in that are asking about this. They're like, oh, I got this question today. Is this a scam? And yes, it is. If they are asking you to go off platform, if they are asking you to Venmo with them or PayPal them or Cash App them, whatever it is, don't do it. Tell them they must make the transaction through Poshmark, because also the transaction through Poshmark is covered. So you can, return the item, or, there's traceability for it with the tracking and everything. But if you take it off platform, there's no record of it. And so if there is a problem and you need to return the item, you can do that through Poshmark and open a case on them. But you can't do that if you take the transaction off platform. So do not put yourself at risk. Do not take any transaction off of the platform, or in this case, Poshmark. Definitely take advantage of the Poshmark parties. I've kind of gotten away from doing this, but I think it really helps when you share them to the specific parties, because those are people that are in there looking for specific things. So sometimes they're like best in jeans or best in tops, or they're brand specific. And so these people that are going to these parties are looking for those specific things because they know that's what is going to be there. So definitely take the time to share the appropriate listings that you have to these parties, and definitely take advantage of it, because that's a spotlight for those items. So it's not just the entire app that you could share anything on, it's specific to those items. And I think it gives a better set of eyes on the items. And also, if you share it to the parties, you can, potentially get a host pick, which will then kind of make it elevated even more and give you a better shot of selling it, because it's in a very small pool. So it definitely helps to share to parties, but you don't have to do it all the time. Don't go like overboard doing it, and only make sure you're sharing items that are fitting those categories or those brands that are in those parties. Do not post any ad pictures or any sale or advertisement to the Poshmark parties. We want to keep the Poshmark parties very specific so the buyers can actually find what they're looking for. So if you're posting like, oh, I have a sale, or I have like, discount, or, whatever it is, don't post that to the party itself because that kind of clogs up the feed. You want to make sure the feed is just simply what is being shared to the party. So if it's shoes or if it's tops, whatever it is, you want to keep it to that. And don't change the brand of the listing too many times. I know actually Poshmark has a rule where you can only change it a few times, but if you mess up once, that makes sense. But like if you mess up constantly and keep changing the brand, it's actually not going to help you, and you can only do it, I think, 3 times in the app now. So you got to be careful. So don't be changing the brand too much. You want to just kind of stick to whatever it is, and you could always create a new listing if you got it wrong in the first place. Be thorough in your actions on Poshmark, and you can definitely interact with people. Like I mentioned in my first tip, it's a very interactive platform, and they really like when you interact with the buyers. So you can leave comments on your favorite listings, or if you really don't want to do that, you can leave comments on their closets, and you can, you know, ask questions, can engage with people. You really want to communicate because Poshmark really likes this, and I think it really helps in general build a better sense of community. So this is a big no-no that I see actually happen sometimes, and it kind of bothers me when I see it. It's when somebody will kind of tag the buyer or the likers in a comment and say, are you interested, or something like that. Or even if you are interested in an item and you comment like, is this available? Like most of the time, if an item is actually available, it'll still say available, it will still say for sale. And if you're gonna comment to the people that like the item and ask them if they're interested, that's just like asking them to buy immediately, and we don't like that. So make sure you are not just commenting useless comments. Make sure they are helpful. If they ask a question, then answer the question. If they like it, you can send them an offer, but don't leave them comments. That's kind of not going to help anything, and honestly, I find it very useless. Do take the time to package your item with care. I take pride in my packaging, my mailers, my boxes, my tape, all of that, because it's all personal to me. But I also write thank you cards, I put my business cards in there, and sometimes, depending on the day, I even put a free gift in there. I want the experience to be really good to the buyer, so that way they want to come back, and that's when they give you a really good review. So you want to take the time to be careful, package your items really well. If it's something breakable, really wrap it up and make sure that's not going to get broken in the mail. And you want to put love into your packages, because again, people very much enjoy a good experience when they're opening something. And if it's just in a plain box and it's just being thrown around in the box, it's kind of like an okay experience. But when you take it up a notch, when you put a handwritten note, if you write like a little note on the bag, before I had my own mailers, I would actually decorate the boxes and write like really positive messages on the boxes, because, you know, we could all use a little positivity sometimes. So I try to, spread that to everybody else, and I try to make everyone feel better. So that's what I would do before I had my own packaging. Now that I have my own packaging, I just put it in there and then use the tape or, whatever to seal it up. But I think it can go a long way if you take the time to personalize your packages, and also just kind of write a handwritten note and like put the packages together with care. Do not take too long to ship any item out. I do my best to get it out within 24 hours, same day, if not the next day, when possible. Sometimes if they purchase on a Saturday evening, I can't get it out until Monday, or in this past weekend's case, I couldn't get it out until Tuesday because of the holiday. But again, that's like out of your control. But if it's like a Monday and you wait until Friday or the next weekend to ship it out, customers don't like that. Nowadays, we live in a world where you can get things pretty much same day or next day. I know with Amazon Prime, you can get it pretty much the same day or, next day, depending on the circumstances. But people like when you can get things very quickly. And I know Poshmark used to have like longer shipping. So they would have, 2 to 3 business days, or, that's what they would say, but then it would actually take a lot longer. But now I've noticed with a lot of my packages, it actually says like 1 day or 2 day. And so if you can get it out the next day, they can get their package basically the next day or maybe a day later. And so people really like this. And so do not take long to get your orders out. And you want to keep that average ship time down too, because again, you need that for being a Posh ambassador. And you gotta also remember that if you take too long to ship out your order, if you wait, I think over 7 days, the buyer can definitely cancel the order, and that does not look good on your part. And also that means they can leave you a bad review, and you don't want that. So just get your orders out if you can. If you're going away for multiple days, maybe consider putting your closet on hold, or at least let the buyers know. Last week I wasn't at my place for a couple days, so I had to kind of let the buyer know. I made a sale like on Monday night and I wasn't going to be able to ship it till Thursday, and I let the buyer know, hey, I'm so sorry, I'm out of town, I won't be able to get this out until Thursday. I hope that's okay. If not, please feel free to cancel your order, but I will definitely get it out first thing on Thursday morning. And the buyer was okay with it. But you need to be honest with them, because sometimes if you're not like vocal about that, then they don't know and they're just sitting around waiting for a package. So if you're gonna take time to get the package out for whatever circumstances, let the buyer know. But if not, if you're gonna be away for longer periods of time, put your closet on vacation hold. That's the safest thing you can do. You won't have any sales, and so it will be good because then you're not gonna, wait to ship things out. Going along with having a slow ship time, you can totally let the buyer know when you get the items shipped out. You don't always have to, because if the package starts tracking, it gives the buyer a notification. But if you, say you needed to get it out the next day and we're a couple hours behind, you can let the buyer know, hey, just ship this out, it'll start tracking shortly, or something like that. Or sometimes if they purchase on a Saturday afternoon and my post office already closed, I will let them know, like, just letting you know my post office is closed for the day and for the weekend. I will get this out first thing on Monday morning and it should start tracking. That way they're aware, and that way you have a good community. No, you're building a good connection with them, and you're having good communication, and so that way they aren't just waiting around for it. And I think this goes a long way sometimes. Do not ask other Poshers to comment and share your items and like your items and comment on them. Don't ask them to do all of this. And especially do not comment on their listings to ask this, because again, that's like kind of leaving spammy comments, and that's not what the listings are there for. So don't ask for people to share your items for you, or whatever it is. If you share their items, they might share your items back. They might not, but most of the time I've noticed if I share somebody's closet, they'll share my stuff back. But don't ask people to do it. It's spammy and no one likes to see it, and it really doesn't help, and it's only gonna annoy the other person. But definitely, if you come across a really good listing, you can definitely share it if you really like it. You can let the buyer, or you can let the seller know, like go to their page and be like, I really like this listing that you have. But definitely share things. The more you share, the better you are. And also you need to have a certain amount of shares with the Poshmark ambassador status, so it could always help to share more. But you definitely want to share things that you like, or just share things in general. It really helps with the algorithm, and like I said, it could eventually lead to a sale, because if somebody's sharing your items back, then it's going to more people's feeds. After a buyer has gotten their order and the order is complete, say they don't necessarily leave you a review or anything, they just complete the order, do not demand a review out of them. Do not demand feedback. Don't do any of this. And even if there is a situation where they leave you a 4-star review and you're not sure why, you don't have to demand anything out of them. You can gently ask them, hey, I take good care of my items, I care about my business, and I just want to know what I can do to improve upon next time going forward. Was there something particularly wrong with your order, or what was the issue? Just so I know I can, improve going forward. But do not demand them of anything. Don't demand feedback in particular. Like, if they are unhappy, they are unhappy. And if they are happy, but they don't necessarily want to leave you a review, that's totally fine too. But they don't owe you anything, and they certainly do not owe you feedback or anything of that sort. So do not demand people of that. It's not right. The last thing I have to share is you can definitely let someone know if you purchase from them and that you really like their item. You can leave them a love note, or you can leave them a comment on their item in particular that you bought, and you could just say, hey, I really like the item that you got me, and I am so appreciative of it, and I definitely will save your closet and come back in the future, or whatever it is. This is like a very positive thing you can do, and it lets the seller know that, like, hey, somebody had a really good experience with me. And honestly, I know as a seller, I love getting 5-star reviews with like love notes and everything, but just a simple like, this product was exactly what I was looking for, or whatever like that they really liked it, or that it was useful, it goes a really long way, and so we really appreciate it. So definitely feel free to do that when you really have a good experience with someone, or definitely let them know that, like, hey, their message really inspired you, or like you really appreciated that they gave you a positive note, or whatever it is, feel free to leave nice comments to your sellers. These are my do's and don'ts of Poshmark. I'm sure there's a lot more out there that I am forgetting, but these are just the basics, and these go a very long way, and a lot of these help with the algorithm, with making more sales, and so these are just definitely things to note. And so let me know down below what you do on Poshmark, or what you think is not good for people to do on Poshmark. And I think this is a good space to kind of like get tips and tricks on like things to do with your listings, because I think we're always looking for ways to improve our listings. We're always looking for ways to improve the algorithm in our favor, and we're always looking for ways to, expand and grow and make more sales. So I think these will help you, the things that I said to do, and then the things that I said to avoid, try and avoid at all costs. There are some of them that, I would definitely avoid more if I could, but I think in general, it's a good thing to kind of keep these in the back of your mind whenever you're on Poshmark. So if you like this video, like I said before, if you want to subscribe for more reselling content, I do a lot of reselling content on this channel. If you want to see last week's video where I talk about how I made my first $10,000 reselling on Poshmark, you can click right here. And if you want to see more reselling content and other reselling videos, you can click right here. But until next time, I will see you then.